welcome to your practice. This is a shorter sequenced yin practice to invite us to let go so that we can make space, so that we can then receive the inspiration. We'll use some props. So if you have a bolster, then bring your yoga bolster to the party. We will use some blocks or books if you don't have yoga blocks. We will also use a blanket, and we will use 2 of our essential oils today, although please know that these oils aren't mandatory for the practice to be of great benefit to you. If you don't have your oils to hand or you don't want to work with the oils particularly today, then that's fine. If you want to, the oils that we're going to be using are neroli and sorrow. So come to any comfortable seat, either up on a block, on a blanket, on your bolster, wherever you feel stable, comfortable. And take your neroli onto the 2 pinky fingers and hold just there for a moment the 1 drop of neroli between the 2 pinky fingers. And we'll apply to Shen Men point, this point up at the top of the ear, this calming and relaxing centering point at the top of the ear with neroli essential oil. Close your eyes and sensitively allow the touch of the fingers to be gentle. So really the oil is making the connection with the point. Begin to lengthen and deepen your breath. And what this application does, as well as centering us, is it ensconces us in a kind of a bliss bubble. Neroli has a euphoric quality to it. It's a floral, comes from the orange blossoms, and it creates this sense of a container of bliss is the best way I can describe it. So just allow that to roll through you. Become sensitive to any subtle shifts or changes that you experience as you hold the point. Using this first application, this first moment into your practice as a way of ritualizing, of marking, of making this time special. Hold there for as long as you wish to, and whenever you're ready, you can begin to release the point and just inhale the neroli from your fingers, and perhaps you rub a little bit just there underneath your nostrils. And then let's come to all fours. We'll take a few simple fluid movements before we come to stillness again. Taking our shoulders over our wrists, taking our hips over our knees. Please inhale and gently drop the belly and look forwards. And then exhale and draw the tailbone back towards the heels for child's pose. Inhale, please come back up onto fours. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips for downward facing dog. Spend a few breaths in dog, please. Knees are bent in this dog. Knees line up with the 2nd and the 3rd toes. The heels reach towards the floor. There's a buoyancy in your downward dog with your knees bent as your arms outwardly, your upper arms outwardly wrap. Armpits start to move towards each other. Please cross-reference from the big toe to the outer hip and from the little toe ball to the inner groin. When we make cross-references like this, we give the body a sense of creating space internally. Inhale, come back to fours. Exhale, come to child's pose. Sequence through this a few times. Inhale lifts you up to fours. Exhale, then tuck toes, then move into dog. Knees are bent, remember. Inhale brings you back to fours. You can hover for a moment, the knees above the floor for a little extra potency. And then exhale takes you back to child's. Inhaling, fours. Exhaling, dog. Inhaling, fours. A little hover of the knees if you wish. Exhaling, child's. Let's take one more sequence like this, please. Inhaling to fours. Exhaling, to dog. Inhaling to fours. Exhaling to child's. Inhale, coming back up onto fours. Walk the hands forwards and the knees back a little bit so you're more towards the back of the mat, coming into a pose called melting heart. Allow the forehead to rest on the floor and the hips. If you have a quick peek, you'll see the hips stay right over the knees for this pose. There is a tendency for the hips to swing back or swing forwards, which is our way of kind of making it easier on ourselves. If you have the opening, you can take the chin to rest on the floor. And one day, the chest comes to rest on the floor. We'll stay here for another few moments, so keep breathing, keep softening. Outwardly rotate the upper arms to protect the shoulders in your melting heart pose. And notice if, as you're here, it feels as though there's something perhaps that you can call to mind that you are holding on tightly to. Perhaps there is something that you've already identified as we've worked through this in the program, or something that's coming to you right now, something new, that you feel you actually would be better served to release. But somehow it's just difficult to release it. And simply by identifying it, really a lot of the work is done in that identification. So right now we don't have to practice releasing it, we just simply practice identifying it. Please take a few more breaths. Let's take 3 more breaths here, please. And then walk your hands back towards you. Take your knees very wide here. Your toes touch. Your hips rest onto your heels, as close to your heels as they can. Bring your blanket for a rest, a support for your head. And we're going to walk into frog pose, but with a variation of a twist. So we're going to come up onto our fingertips and walk our hands all the way out in front of us, and just for a moment gaze out in front of you as if you were looking across the horizon for a moment into your future. And then walking your hands over, staying still on your fingertips, to the left. Take your right elbow in front of your right knee and make a fist with that right hand, and take the left hand and place it over the top and rotate. You can look forwards before you twist, allowing your vision to invite you to twist further. And it may be that the blanket supports your head, so you could take a fold of that blanket to give your head something to rest on. Equally, the block works very well for this, to rest your head on. Keep drawing the right hip back. And the revolution, the twist, happens around the navel center. Right waist moves around to the left. So we breathe into the right lung first. And then on the exhale, we find the potential to twist a little further. Good. Coming back, releasing that onto the fingers, and like a big circular mandala, walk yourself around, all the way around to come to the other side. So taking left elbow in front of the left knee. You may find one side is easier than the other. Take a fist with that left hand, and the right hand comes resting on top of that left, wrapping it The gaze is forwards, and then the gaze is to the sky beyond the right elbow. So twists are superb for creating space, but we don't feel that until afterwards. So right now we kind of feel compressed, we feel locked in, we feel shut down in some way because the breathing is harder. All the organs around the middle of the body are getting a good flush and a rinse. And the space really is appreciated when we come out of the twist. So know that. Let's take one more long breath here into the left lung. Flushing out the right kidney in this twist. And then repeat onto your fingertips, revolving all the way around. Take a moment here, gazing forwards on your fingertips. And then coming up, walking the hands close towards you. Take your blanket to the side. Swing your legs all the way around, and we will come to lie down. Good. So knees bent first of all. Lift your hips and move your hips over to the right side of your mat, all the way to the edge of the mat. And then shimmy your shoulders over to the left side of your mat. And then extend your legs out. And then extend your arms above you. Left hand is holding on to the right wrist, and you're even further arching your body over to the left. If you wish to stabilize the hips, you can cross the left foot over the right ankle, which creates a good grounding sensation in the base of the spine, in the two sit bones, in the base of the spine, excuse me. And we're creating an arc shape with the body. This is called banana asana, one of my favorite poses, where it feels as though really we're not doing very much, but there's so much happening here. There's such a big opening along the whole of the right side of the body. You can close your eyes. We'll spend a couple of minutes here. You'll notice an opening between the ribs. And you'll notice that this opening invites us to take a deeper breath. And with every breath in, we receive. And with every breath out, we release. Both shoulders are on the floor. Both shoulder blades are on the floor. If you notice that the hands kind of hover and it's awkward for you to have the hands behind your head like this, you can take support with a blanket underneath either wrist, arm, or the back of the elbow of either arm. So get yourself situated appropriately with your blanket, with your props. Don't feel that you have to shimmy yourself into a shape that I'm instructing you. Just know that it can be one that is appropriate for your body today. And as we rest here longer with the eyes closed, perhaps calling to mind again that one thing that we feel we are tightly holding on to. And just allowing it to sit there in the forefront of our awareness. And perhaps we just imagine, we visualize, we dream up what it would be like to let go of that thing, even just 10%. What would 10% shift, change, release look like? Sometimes for some of us, the leap is too big to release in one fell swoop, and to do it gradually is what's needed. We'll take a few more breaths here. Let's take 3 more long, slow, deep breaths here, right down into your belly. The eyes are soft. The jaw is relaxed. Very good. Release the hands first and shimmy your shoulders back to center. Uncross the ankle, bend at the knees, and bring your hips center. Take your hands onto your belly, take your feet wide, knees resting towards each other, and take one breath here, inhaling and exhaling, navel to spine. Good. Shift the hips over to the left this time. Shift the shoulders over to the right side of your mat. Extend your legs out. Arms extend overhead, holding the left wrist with the right hand, crossing the right foot, if that serves you, over the left ankle to stabilize. And then perhaps you can find yourself arching even further, drawing yourself over, accentuating that crescent moon shape of the body. There's a famous Buddhist story that illustrates this idea of attachment and letting go. You may have heard it. And it's entitled How to Catch a Monkey. So how to catch a monkey, you place a nut in a jar and allow the neck of the jar to be quite narrow. And the monkey comes, the monkey puts its hand in the jar, but if it brings its hand out, it will lose the nuts. So it keeps its hand in the jar. This is a really helpful visual image for us to consider how holding on traps us. So perhaps considering once more, what is your nut? What is it that you are holding on to? And how is it keeping you trapped? Sometimes when we can understand and learn, see the ways that we are no longer serving ourselves with this attachment. Maybe once it served us really, really well, but maybe now it's not needed. It's time to release it. And in that release there is beauty. When the trees release the leaves, it is at the moment when the tree is at its most stunning. For many of us, the colors are vibrant, beautiful. But the reason the tree is releasing those leaves, the reason the leaves are that color, is because the toxicity of the leaves has become such that it's transformed the color. So it's no longer serving the tree. It's time for the tree to gracefully release. Please take 3 more long, slow breaths here. Good. When you're ready, come back to center. Bring your arms down by your side, bend your legs, take your feet on the floor and your hands resting on your belly. Breathe into your hands and exhale. Nice and gently bring yourself up to seated for a final application of oil and setting up for our final pose. So we'll take, reclining over the bolster, we'll take the block, if that's useful to us, to create a little bit of a lesser gradient on the bolster on the back. I like to take a blanket at the head end as well to support the neck. And we'll take our sorrow essential oil. Sorrow essential oil complements this opening of the lungs. So we'll apply it to lung 1, this point here at the top of the collarbone, where the collarbone and the shoulders meet. You'll see there's a little point of connection here, and you just want to roll your finger down about an inch. So you can roll down with the finger that is without the oil, and then place the oil onto that point and hold. And this is something that you can do while you're seated, or we can do it while we're lying down. So we can come to fully lie down and still maintain the hold of the point, resting the elbows on the floor. If the elbows don't quite reach the floor, you could create a really beautiful situation with blankets underneath your elbows, so you're fully supporting yourself. And do take the time to set up in a way that feels like you are supported. Because when we feel safe, when we feel stable, when we feel held, this is when the healing occurs. This is when the release happens. And when you're ready to release the hold of the points, you can bring arms down by your side. Close the eyes completely and allow yourself to fully drop in and rest here. Continuing to rest in this position. You can rest here for as long as you wish. Young Pueblo says in his book, Inward, we carry our attachments in our bodies, and as we let them go, our bodies change. There is an alchemical process to this practice with the yoga poses, with the oils, and with the journaling, the writing, the consideration, the reflection. So you may continue to rest here for as long as you wish. If you are ready to come out of the pose, you can gently roll onto your side. Rest on your side for a few moments. And come up to seated. Bring your hands to prayer just in front of your face, and perhaps you can still smell the remnants of the sorrow on your fingers here. And just noticing any shifts, subtle or profound, that have occurred in your body, in your heart, or in your mind from the start of your practice to how you feel now. Noticing that this is how we create space in our body. This is how we create space with our practice. And it is through creating this space that we invite in the insight, the inspiration. We create space for something new. Take one more deep breath here, please. Thank you so much for practicing. Chin to chest. Namaste. Thank you so much.